let's linger on Atlanta for a second. Man, it's just wild how we went from what the hell was Atlanta thinking about taking Michael Penix? Well, first, you can even rewind it for anybody who thought that Kirk Cousins wasn't all that before he blew out his Achilles. What were they doing about just throwing out all this money at Kirk Cousins without seeing how he's going to come back from his Achilles injury? And then what were they doing drafting Michael Penix on a draft night when they needed to draft somebody to help get Kirk Cousins the proper setup to get you where you want to go with him by putting all your eggs in that basket? And then it went from, well, they didn't need Penix after all because they started 6-3 and Cousins is sweeping the Bucs and he threw for 500 yards in one game and they went from 6-3 to 6-7 to the point where they turned to Penix and you're wondering, why the hell are you turning to Penix now? You know, is it that bad with Cousins? To now here we are sitting here on the Monday of week 17 into week 18 saying, what if the Falcons had turned to Penix sooner? Would they be sitting outside, looking in, sniffing it? What if they had turned to Penix way before? Mm-hmm. What if, Raheem Morris kind of pulled a Tomlin and taken a quarterback that had won 2/3 of his starts and said, that's enough. It's time for the other kid. As opposed to telling the kid in Justin Fields, who won 2/3 of his first 6 starts at 4-2, you're sitting, we're going with the vet. What if he had done the reverse? Now, that's clear 20/20 hindsight. But in the same way, again, right here on the Rich Eisen Show, when you get the quarterback right and you start seeing the offense operate in a way that hadn't been before and the franchise does appear to be in the right hands. Last night, watching Sunday Night Football and watching Penix, I did the Rick Dalton gif. I pointed right at the screen. There it is. There it is. The throws to Drake London, the throw to Kyle Pitts, the 4th down conversions, including the Pitts touchdown.
It was a dart.
Oh, my word. Can that kid spin it? Can he get it done? I mean, the halftime interview with Raheem Morris up 17-7 with the way this kid had been playing and the way that he can be moved around that Cousins could not, creating different, I would think, running angles for Bijan. Different ways that you can get the ball to Bijan. Different ways that you can have a running game now with different eye candy. And the eye candy is your quarterback. Man, and Morris was just like, he's him. He didn't really say that, but that's what he basically said to Melissa Stark, essentially. He's him. And they were up 10. And Bijan, it was the reason why they were up 10. But Penix not making a lot of mistakes. He did throw an interception. That was bad. But that was also, as Collinsworth pointed out, what happens when you have a rookie and the receivers are not on the same page. He expects one guy to keep going one way, and he throws it there, and it looks like an awful interception. Like, why are you throwing it right to the defender? Well, he thought his guy was going to be there. Raheem Morris had this to say after the loss last night.
I love the kid. I love the kid's fight. I love the kid's desire. Anybody can go out there and stand in the face of adversity and throw that strike like he threw to Kyle Pitts to give us an opportunity to win that football game. That's what it's about. He represents us. He represents the land. He represents everything that's good about us. Yeah,
he's the kid. That's it. Kirk Cousins is, he's, I'm sure, looking at real estate somewhere else. He's got an Atlanta realtor putting something up for sale because this thing's over, and that's the kid. Now, I'll answer my question. You guys can help too. Would he have been 6-3 to start the season?
Penix?
Yeah. Would he have been able to author that comeback against Philadelphia, for instance?
Probably not.
I don't know.
They may not have needed the comeback.
It's so simple for me to sit here and say the Falcons could be better if they had turned to him sooner. They were 6-3, guys. They were 6-3.
I don't know. I threw it out there on Overreaction Monday on December 2nd that they have to think about starting him.
Which week was that?
So that would have been, that was 4 weeks ago. So that would have been.
No, it was after the New Orleans game because we had Raheem. I'll point it out. We had Raheem Morris on our Friday show in Munich.
I think it was after the bye week.
In mid-November, going into New Orleans.
Right.
And then that game in New Orleans was a struggle, but then you could basically just say that's the way it goes against the division opponent that's got an interim head coach and nothing left to lose. And then the next week in Denver was the one where, wait a minute, something is up here.
Right. And you had a bye week there. That would have been the perfect time to throw him in there on the bye.
Maybe so.
A little extra time. Do you beat the Chargers? I don't know. You look at the score, you're like 17-13. You're like, but I watched that kid play last night. We could have put up 13 points at least.
To be fair, if we are going to have 20/20 hindsight here, let's give it up to the Falcons drafting Michael Penix to begin with.
Yeah.
Because we thought, this kid's not, on draft night, that was a conversation we were having on the set on NFL Network. It's like, why are you doing this? The kid's practically 25. You can't Jordan Love this kid and figure out what he's going to do when he's 28 and then pay him, that contract, the second contract. You can't do that sort of thing. And as it turns out, they needed him in week 17 and he damn near pulled it off. But unfortunately for the Falcons, though, is that now puts them in a position of hoping the Saints knock off the Bucs. And they've got the Carolina Panthers, too. And the Panthers, as we know, are better, even though the Bucs treated them like homecoming yesterday. The Bucs got that get-right game that they needed, and all they got to do is just beat the Saints. While the Falcons are taking on the Panthers in the 1 o'clock window of Week 18, and that's all she wrote. And then the Bucs would sit back and hope that the Seahawks knock off the Rams, so maybe they can be the 3 seed. I don't know. I don't know if it matters 3 or 4, whatever. But because in the NFC, the supposed lesser team, that's the 6 seed. That's not too far off than the 5. Whoever that's going to be, a 14 potentially win wildcard team in the NFC.
Whew, that's crazy.
And the Falcons are the only team sniffing it, sitting at 8-8, that 4-game losing streak where they were waiting and hoping for Kirk Cousins to turn it around. That eventually has put them in this position. But Penix, with everybody wondering why the hell were they doing it? Well, his performance on Sunday night showed you why the hell they were doing it. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.